Rain poured in angry sheets the night Daniel found her. He was driving home from his late shift at the mechanic shop. The clock flashing past midnight when his headlights caught a figure standing in the storm. A woman clutching a torn handbag soaked through, shivering beside a broken-down car. Her eyes were wide with fear and exhaustion, her clothes sticking to her skin. And for a brief second, she looked more like a lost child than a grown woman. Something in her expression, the quiet defeat, the kind he knew too well, made Daniel pull over without thinking twice. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in how one small act can change an entire life, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You never know whose heart your kindness might touch. Today, Daniel had been living in survival mode for years. A single dad raising his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, after his wife's sudden passing. Life had become a constant battle between bills, work, and keeping promises to a little girl who still asked why mommy couldn't come home. Every day, he pushed through with a tired smile, fixing engines by day and reading bedtime stories by night. He wasn't bitter. He was just tired. Tired, but grateful that at least Lily had never gone hungry, even if sometimes he had. That night, when he approached the woman stranded on the roadside, she flinched. Her voice trembled as she explained that her car had died and she didn't have her phone. She'd been trying to get home after a long hard day. Daniel didn't ask for details. He just offered her his jacket and brought her to his truck. She hesitated at first, as though afraid of trusting anyone. But something about his weary gentleness broke through her guard. Her name, she said, was Mia. She didn't say much else. Daniel towed her car to his shop, refusing to take any money until he found out what was wrong. By the time they arrived, Lily had fallen asleep in the back seat, her head resting on her favorite stuffed bunny. Mia watched Daniel carry his daughter gently inside their tiny apartment above the garage, the one that smelled faintly of motor oil and lavender detergent, and something in her expression softened. She hadn't expected kindness that night, especially not from someone who clearly didn't have much to spare. Over the next few days, Mia's car remained in the shop, and Daniel discovered that it needed parts that would cost more than he was comfortable charging someone who looked like she was already struggling. She offered to help out around the shop instead, cleaning tools, organizing shelves, and even helping Lily with her homework when Daniel was swamped. He wanted to refuse, but something in her tone told him that saying yes meant more than just saving money. It meant giving her a sense of dignity. Lily adored her almost instantly. She called her Miss Mia and followed her around like a shadow together. They'd paint little rocks outside the shop or make sandwiches for lunch breaks. Daniel often found himself standing quietly by the doorway, watching them laugh, his heart aching with something he hadn't felt in years. The fragile warmth of family life. But Daniel never asked too many questions about Mia's past. He knew what it was like to have chapters you didn't want to reread. Still, small details slipped through. The way she'd flinch at loud voices. The way her eyes went distant whenever she saw a luxury car pass by. There was pain there, the kind money couldn't fix. What Daniel didn't know, what he couldn't possibly know, was that Mia wasn't just a woman who had fallen on hard times. She was the CEO of a major company. A woman who had grown tired of fake smiles, selfish motives, and shallow acts of kindness. After a betrayal by someone she'd trusted deeply in her corporate world, she had decided to test what true kindness looked like, when no one knew her name or status, and Daniel was her test. Weeks passed, their connection deepened. Though Daniel never crossed a line, he respected her space, admired her resilience, and treated her like a person, not a project, not a burden. When he fixed her car, he refused payment again, saying quietly, "You've done enough." Sometimes people just need someone to be kind without expecting anything back. It was the same phrase his late wife used to say. And when he spoke it, Mia's eyes shimmered. For the first time in years, she felt seen not as a CEO, not as someone powerful, but as a human being, flawed, tired, and yearning for warmth. One evening, when the sun melted into shades of gold behind the old garage, Lily sat on Mia's lap, showing her a drawing she'd made. It was of the three of them, Daniel, Lily, and Mia, standing under a bright blue sky, smiling. Underneath she had written, "My family." Mia's breath caught. That night, she cried quietly in her rented room. She hadn't planned for any of this. Not the connection, not the affection, not the realization that this simple life she was pretending to have felt more real than the one she actually lived. But life has a way of revealing truths at the worst possible times. One morning, a sleek black car pulled up outside the shop. Two suited men stepped out and addressed Mia with polished tones, calling her Miss Carter. Daniel froze, wiping grease from his hands as he realized the woman standing before him, the one who had been folding laundry and laughing over peanut butter sandwiches, was the same woman whose name he'd once read in a business magazine. Everything clicked. Her quiet confidence, her eyes that missed nothing, her odd hesitations when talking about money. Mia tried to explain, but Daniel stepped back, hurt flashing across his face. So, what was this? Some kind of charity project? A joke? He asked softly. She wanted to tell him the truth. That she had come searching for something real that she hadn't expected to find him or Lily, or a sense of belonging she'd thought she no longer deserved. But no words seemed enough. She left that day heavy. The sound of Lily crying echoing behind her. Days turned into weeks, and Daniel tried to focus on work, but nothing felt the same. The laughter was gone. The house was quieter. Lily asked about Mia every night before bed, and each time he didn't know what to say. He'd been kind without expecting anything in return, and somehow it had left him emptier than ever. Meanwhile, in her glass-walled office overlooking the city, Mia sat surrounded by wealth and silence. The world outside saw her as powerful again, but inside she was crumbling. She missed the grease-stained smell of the garage, the sound of Lily's giggles, Daniel's rough, honest hands and his tired but genuine smile. And then one day, she made a decision that stunned everyone in her company. She announced a new community initiative, funding small local businesses, especially those run by single parents. Her board was confused, but Mia only smiled. She knew exactly who had inspired her. Still, she couldn't shake the ache of what she'd lost. Months later, Daniel's shop received an anonymous grant enough to renovate the building, buy new tools, and expand his business. The letter enclosed simply read, "For kindness that expected nothing but gave everything." He didn't need to guess who it was from. Life began to stabilize again. Lily grew taller. Daniel smiled a little more, and though he told himself to move on, part of him still glanced at every car that pulled into the lot, hoping to see a familiar face step out. Then one crisp autumn afternoon, as golden leaves scattered across the ground, a car pulled up, not a sleek luxury one this time, but a modest silver sedan. Mia stepped out wearing jeans and a flannel shirt, her hair tied back. For a moment, neither spoke. The air between them felt like it held every word they hadn't said. She finally walked up and whispered, "You told me once that people just need someone to be kind without expecting anything back. You showed me what that really means." I'm sorry I lied. I needed to know if people still cared for the person, not the position. Daniel's voice cracked as he said, you didn't have to pretend to be broken for me to care. And then Lily came running out of the garage, screaming, Miss Mia. She wrapped her arms around Mia's waist, and that was it. The ice melted. Daniel's eyes softened, and he exhaled the pain he'd been holding for months. Mia stayed that evening for dinner. The small apartment was filled again with laughter and the warmth of something fragile, but real forgiveness. From that day on, Mia became a regular part of their lives again. Not as the CEO testing hearts, but as a woman who had finally found hers. She helped Daniel expand his business, though she never flaunted her wealth. Instead, she spent weekends helping Lily paint signs for Dad's garage. Her once manicured hands now happy to get dirty. The small family they formed wasn't perfect. There were arguments, misunderstandings, and days when the past still lingered. But there was also laughter, real healing laughter, and the quiet understanding that love doesn't always arrive how we expect it, but when it does, it changed everything. Mia had tested hearts to find truth. But in the end, she had been the one tested. And Daniel, the man who had nothing left to give, had given her exactly what she'd been missing, sincerity. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. It helps more stories of hope and kindness reach others who might need them today. Before you go, I'd love for you to comment below. Do you believe that love can find you even when you're not looking for it? Because sometimes the greatest stories begin not with wealth or plans or perfection, but with one simple act of kindness on a rainy